It's just this vicious cycle that we go into. And I think that's why, there's so many people that are struggling and people don't want to talk about it, because if you talk about it, then you're not fit for duty. Yep. And that is so untrue.
And we've talked about that several times, how people, once they've worked through something, are way better at, handling things in the future. Hey y'all, thanks for tuning in to another episode of 911 Delta Tethered for Life podcast. As usual, this episode may not be suitable for all listeners due to language and content, so listen with care and stay safe out there. Hey y'all, welcome back to another week of 911 Delta Tethered for Life podcast. This week we are excited to have Jessica Yancey with us. She has had a long career dispatching just about everything you can imagine, but she's currently dispatching for State Police Agency. She also has her master's degree in social work. So this should be a really fascinating conversation. Grab your headsets. Let's talk. Welcome, Jess. It's wonderful to have you on the podcast.
Thank
Will
you.
You start us out with a little introduction of yourself?
So my name's Jess. I have been a dispatcher for 16 years. I have probably taken almost every type of call you can imagine.
Now, see that you said that when you go back to work, you're going to be in trouble.
Probably. A little short story. I said that I was bored one day.
Oh,
and I said it out loud. And after I said I was bored, I had a car versus train. Wait a minute, it gets better. Somebody who was shot. A request assist to break down a door because they thought somebody was dead inside of a house, a water main break, and then I think something else happened, but it happened like all within 10 minutes. So I was told I can never say that word again.
I was going to say, so now not only can you not say the Q word, you cannot say the B word.
No. Gotcha. No, and at work we can't use the word fatality. Can't say that. That's a no-no.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
Yeah. So. I went back to school. I got my bachelor's in criminal justice and my master's in social work. And
that's a good combo.
Yeah. So I always like to say that when I grow up, I want to work with first responders in like a therapeutic setting. I'm also a part of the county CISM team, and funny story, I went to the meeting and there was a gentleman that came and spoke from one of the rehabs, and he was talking about a program that they had for first responders and veterans. And after he was done, I said, I want to work with you. And so I am now their new helper person. I don't really know what my job title is, but it's just a per diem. It's just this is the end. Like, I feel like I've kind of like reached my end goal and I'm doing what I really wanted to do all those years ago.
Nice. That's really cool.
So I can use my fancy education.
That's right. For something, yeah.
yeah, for something. Not the, talking people off the ledge because, somebody cut them off, heaven forbid.
Heaven forbid. Or they got 5 nuggets and not 6. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just dispatch for police, right?
Yes. Right now, all I dispatch is for police. I used to be primarily a fire EMS dispatcher, and that was my jam. I was like, yeah, put me on fire radio. I'm all about it. Big red trucks, let's do it.
Right.
And then when they put me on a PD radio, I was always very sad, and I voiced my opinion about this very loudly. I'm like, I hate it. I can't do it. I suck at this. And they're like, no, you don't. Your call times are great. You're doing fine. And then when I got the job that I have now, that's all I do. So sometimes I call my job karma.
That's pretty funny. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes I call it karma. I'm like, well.
Are you guys, I'm not sure how Pennsylvania works. Are you guys a PSAP too or no?
No, we are not. The funny thing about the state police is that they like to remain very separate from
Right. That's what
everybody else.
Virginia's that way too.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure about Pennsylvania. So
Yeah,
yeah, so you don't answer 911 calls, but you get to
no,
dispatch.
but they are forwarded to us.
Right.
So we do get 911 calls, but they've already spoken to somebody by the time we get them.
Right.
Gotcha. Now, do you guys do a lot of, you said you're kind of in a suburban area. Do you guys do a lot of like mutual aid to more rural areas or smaller areas for
So
things that their local Leos would handle if they're
how the
overwhelmed, or do you just kind of do traffic and
how the state police works in PA is that if a township or a borough doesn't have their own police department, then the state police covers. So where I'm at, it's very unique because we have both highways and the county that we call it. So we have townships and boroughs that we cover as well. The station that I'm at is we're consistently in the top 5 busiest stations in the state, and we are also in the smallest, most densely populated county of the state as well.
wow.
Wow.
Yeah, so we take a lot of calls.
That sounds like it.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, and I'm on the 3 to 11 shift too, so that's the busiest.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not too bad of a schedule, though. That's pretty cool.
No, I work 10 days straight and then I'm off for 4 days.
Oh
shit.
my God.
Yeah, well, that's not so cool.
No.
Yeah, 10 on,
Oh
4
my
off.
God.
Uh-huh.
Oh, God, yeah, no.
Oh, all right. Well, we're gonna say some little Hail Marys or prayers or something for you because oh my God, that's
Yes. Bless your heart.
some of the
Yikes.
as we've been doing this and talking to dispatchers all over and some of the shift schedules, I'm just like, I can't even imagine what. Oh my God.
Yeah, and ours is pretty set. There's some stations that have what's called double backs. So say you would work from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m., then you would have to be back in the morning at 7 a.m.
Jeez.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if my station had that, I'm thoroughly convinced that there would be like a strike, a revolt, something. Like there would be large protests, and it wouldn't happen.
Yeah, like nobody wants to see me at work at 7 in the morning. I used to tell them that all the time on day shift, unless I'm leaving work. I can't imagine getting off at 11 and having to be back. I just wouldn't go to sleep because I could not function otherwise. I'd have to stay up. I'd have to just tough it out.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You asked me to stay for the overnight shift. I'm fine because like I'm already awake.
Right.
And
right.
You know, I can do it. And then about like 4 o'clock in the morning, I kind of like to start to like hit the wall.
Right. Sure. That's yeah.
Yeah. And then when somebody from day shift rolls in, oh, what are you still doing here? And I'm like, I don't know. I saved for my health. I don't know. I felt like being here tonight.
Because it's fun.
Right. Because I had nothing better to do with my time. And I don't miss my bed at all.
Right.
Yeah. So it's generally a very quick pass down. Nothing's happening, or they've arrested people and they're there and I'm going home and I don't know what to tell you. Read the email.
Right.
Yeah. Goodbye. I'll see you in 8 hours. Maybe.
Nice.
So before you got in,
what
inspired you to pursue a career as a 911 dispatcher?
I actually kind of fell into it. I was at a get-together, and little did I know that I was talking to the EMS director of the county that I would eventually work for, and he's like, hey, we need dispatchers. And I'm like, oh, okay. Tell me more. And so he was telling me a little bit about it, and he's like, go and apply. So I did, and I got the job. And that was just really it. I knew nothing about it. Caught on pretty quick. And yeah, so here I am still doing it.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was just by pure luck. It wasn't something that like I really sought out. It was just, why not? We'll try it.
Happened and stayed with it ever since.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a blessing or a curse.
Well,
Sometimes I think, like everybody, you kind of get frustrated with the job and just the whole thing. And, there's always those thoughts of, I'm going to quit. I'm going to do something else. I can't do this anymore. And it's like, sometimes it's like the days where I hate it the most, I'm the best at it. And it's so frustrating.
yeah.
Because it's like, I hate this, but then it's like, but I'm so good at it. Just like, why am I so good at something that I hate so much right now? And so, and I think that's kind of I think that's a common theme. I'm very much the type of, I say what people are thinking because I don't care. And I really do think that that's kind of a common theme, because the average career span of a dispatcher is like 3 or 4 years now. Like it's not long. And there's not many of us that are still doing this after this many years.
Right. It was interesting when we had our Dr. Meredith on. She said that yes, it's like there's like a 3-4 year window, and then there's like a 15-16 year drop off.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so interesting because you feel like if you've been in it 15-16 years, depending on whether you have a retirement plan or what it is wherever you work, but if you're thinking it's 25 years, maybe something around there, it's like why aren't people hanging out for another 10 years?
Yeah.
So yes, it's very interesting, the ebb and flow of it. And I think a lot of it just has to do with more than just like the mental trauma. It really just has to do more with burnout and workplace.
Yeah.
Because the people that work in good places are there for, 30 whatever years.
Right.
So
yeah, and I really think I have found a station where, we are very much family. Like I work like directly with troopers, and they're around tax time, we're always like, hey, can I claim you on my taxes, because I feel as though I take care of you all the time.
Right.
Like, have you eaten today? Or you might want to go to the bathroom before you go. And
right.
And but we're very much family. And do we have our disagreements? Sure, but we get past them, we move on. At the end of the day, it's a job that we have to do, and there's no sense in holding a grudge. I've always said, be mad at me, but at the end of the day, I'm done with it. I've walked out the door, and I'm fine. So, if you want me to live rent free in your head, that's fine. I can.
Right.
I'm okay with that.
I can do that. Oh my goodness. So what do you think are some common misconceptions about the role of a 911 dispatcher? And what do you wish the public knew about the realities of your job?
First of all, these 911 shows are garbage.
Oh my God.
100%. The call with Halle Berry, I went and paid like my money, like adult money, to go see it. And I said bad words the entire time. I'm like, this is not how it is. One, we don't share headsets. That's gross. And second, I'm sorry that you got kidnapped, but I'm not going to go look for you. That's not my job.
Right, I'm not doing that. Sorry.
Yeah, my shift's done. I've turned into a pumpkin. I can't do anymore. I got to go. And so one of my coworkers, God bless her, I love her to death, she wanted to watch one of these 911 shows. And I'm like, no. So we're not doing it. I said, first off, you've never really worked in a 911 center. And I said, I'm going to tell you right now, that's a rolling dumpster fire. And that's not what it's like at all. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's not. And it's like, please, please stop. Yeah, no. yeah, that I wish people wouldn't watch this stuff and believe it, because that's not how it really is. I think that what there was a show on A&E a couple years ago, I think, with oh, who was it? Luke Wilson? I think like it was about dispatchers, and they were like supposedly in the room. I think it was like in Louisiana or something. I can't remember.
There was one that was on. I don't know if it was A&E or if it was Oxygen. One of them, and the one that I remember, I think was out of South Carolina, because I think it was one of the same jurisdictions that's on Patrol Live.
Yeah, I don't know. It was when the whole like light up keyboard craze started.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Even I watched that, and I'm like, wait a minute, no, it's too quiet in there.
Right. Well, you know they have to cut so much. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, like it's like I get it, but one, there's like people talking all around you, like the entire shift.
Right.
And it's not just your radio, you have everybody else's radio that you're listening to. And I'm like, but okay, yeah, I can kind of buy it, but I'm not 100% sold. I'm maybe like 5% sold on this. But I watched it for the entertainment value. It wasn't, there was nobody with their shoes off and their feet up on the desk.
Exactly, right? And nobody yelling,
Yeah, there was not
like every time somebody
right.
calls in their 27th traffic stop in 30 minutes, and you're like,
mine is get off my damn phone. Like it's
me too.
Get off my phone. Like I just Eric, stop with the dissertation. Oh my God, yes, I know. Just yes, I got it. Cool. And right.
Why are you on my damn phone? Why?
Yeah, like why?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. There's a pothole there, sir. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
What is it that you want me to do about it? Please tell me.
How about you call PennDOT and wear their freaking ears out, right?
I gave somebody the number to PennDOT one day.
We have a VDOT has a and like an 800 public number that people can call. I would give that out all the time.
So does PennDOT. I think it's 1-800 fix roads or fix road or something.
That's pretty hilarious. Yeah.
I just call the traffic management center and I just say, hey, or I text my friends who work there pictures. And I'm like, hey, can you send somebody out to fix this? And then I get like the rolling eye emoji.
Right.
Like, I've reported it. I've done my due diligence.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, and then when the cameras don't work, I'm always like, maybe we should call PennDOT and complain. And I'm speaking to PennDOT. Maybe we should call them and complain. Tell them to fix their stuff.
Oh my God! Or the light is broken. Like I've been sitting here for 3 minutes and it's not turned green yet. It must not be functioning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, it's 5:30 and you are like trying to cross the busiest highway in the county.
Yeah, and these lights are set on timers and they're like done by computers. And it's like, what do you want me to do?
Right.
Like, I don't know, chance it. Like, listen, trust me, there's nobody out there right now. Run the red light. I don't care.
Right.
Just don't hit anybody while you do it. Like, really, I'm not going to narc you out. Promise. I'm not. I'm not going to, reverse search your cell phone number to find out who you are so somebody can send you a ticket. Like, really, it's not that deep. Just, it'll change. It'll change.
Oh, yeah.
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 So how do you manage the high levels of stress and emotional demands of the job?
Mental health days.
Yeah.
Mental health days. I have had to learn to leave work at work, not to take it home. And I really do think that when I went to grad school, I really did learn a lot about myself, and I understood, why I was thinking the way I was thinking, and that my my train of thought wasn't necessarily a healthy one because I sometimes became too invested in the call and I made it personal where it didn't need to be. And understanding that this is a job, this is what I do. I take information, I make it make sense, and then I give it to somebody to go do something with it. And I can't, yes, I'm allowed to have emotions about it, but like I said, I was getting too invested in the calls that I was taking. I was becoming too emotional about it. And there was a lot of, it's my fault. I could have done better. I could have been faster. And in the grand scheme of things, I did everything I was supposed to do. And I did it in a timely manner. And I can't make fire trucks go any faster than what they're going. And I can't make an ambulance get there any faster than what they're going to get. So, I think for a lot of calls, I shouldered a lot of the blame. It was like, well, if I could have done X, Y, and Z, then they would have lived, or they wouldn't be as hurt as they are. But I mean, it's taken years to get there. It's not, and I think that's one of the issues with these new call takers and dispatchers is that the mental health part of it isn't really addressed. And it's not, and no one says it's not, no one goes and says, hey, this isn't TV, this is real life stuff. This isn't, you mess up, you can, you get a redo. Like, this is it, this is big time. We're here, we're just right in the thick of it.
Yep.
And I think that's one reason there's such a high turnover rate, burnout rate, is because these new guys, they're not prepared. They're not prepared for what they're hearing. And I think because there's such a need for dispatchers, because everybody's quitting or retiring, it's, just kind of run them through the training and, let them get the basics. And it's almost like a fend for yourself. So there's no real debriefings, and it's still that very much that stigma of you take the call, you move on to the next one, you keep it going throughout your shift. You're not allowed to be, you're not allowed to be upset. You're not allowed, to do X, Y, and Z. And I think that's what jams people up. I know that's what jammed me up. Yeah. And having to say, hey, you know what? I'm not good right now. That takes a lot. That takes a lot to say, I'm not good. I'm having an issue with this call. And, it took me 14 years to do that, to say, you know what, I'm not good with this right now. And fortunately, I had, supervision that was like, you know what, you're not good, go home. Like, we got this. It's okay. Go home. Reach out to somebody, talk to them. And so I was fortunate. And unfortunately, some people aren't. And that makes me sad, because I'm sure there's a lot of good people out there who have quit just because they weren't offered help.
Yep. That's
right.
A huge thing, I think, too.
And you said you did your graduate work in social work?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And did you do that? Was that before or after you started dispatching?
It was during, actually.
Yeah.
So I graduated 6 years ago now.
Okay. And do you think that really helped you?
Yes.
Do you think that if you'd had that information when you started, like, it would have been better?
Yes.
I guess is my question.
Yeah, 100%. Now, my degree was focused on trauma. So there was, it was that really bad stuff, that we talked about. And it was very much how you feel, how you process it. And I hate to use the word like, touchy-feely, that kind of thing. But it was very much like tap into your emotions, like talk about what you're feeling and why are you feeling this way. And it was very eye-opening. It was very eye-opening for me. And it's kind of, I really believe that things happen for a reason. Right when, well, I was in the middle of grad school, my mom passed away. And I took a week off from work, did not take any time off from school. I was still doing homework and stuff. But my next class was about grief. And I'm like, well, this came at a great time. My inner voice is like, oh, great, But taking that class helped me understand more about it and why, and I could see how that worked into my job.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Yeah.
And, there's this thing, it's called complicated grief. And it's when there's no real resolution to it. And you're just kind of left with it. And I think about a call that I took in Atlanta. I heard a lady get murdered. I heard her last screams. It was one reason I left. But I was just left with it. That's all I was left with. And there was no, hey, how are you doing? Let's talk about this. For a very long time, I beat myself up over that call. And it didn't matter that I had a 13-second dispatch time from when I received the call to when I dropped tones and got everybody started. That didn't matter. But learning how to, hey, you know what? I did everything I could do with what I had. And everybody did their job. And unfortunately, it was just for time. And I can't change it. And there's no amount of, coulda, woulda, shouldas, it is what it is, it's done. But now moving forward, it's like, it's done. I've done my job. Let me take a minute for myself. If I have to go outside, walk around for a minute, if I need to have a good cry for a few seconds in the bathroom, but then I go back. Because it's not the idea of, okay, move on to the next one, but I'm having to tell myself, Jess, don't get wrapped up in this. Don't let yourself spiral into this. You could have done better. You could have done this,
Yeah.
That's just kind of my thought on the whole thing, if that makes any sense.
No, I totally agree. And I think it's such a shame that we don't teach dispatchers, any first responder, that in training, right? Like that's not something that you learn about. And I mean, I think we've talked about it in Virginia, there's like I don't know, maybe a 4-hour class or 2-hour part of the academy that's dispatcher stress,
Which is like nothing.
Right. Nobody ever teaches you about, and we've had so many people on that have had similar experiences, and yeah, they're just left and there's no resolution.
No, and I took a call, and this was the one where I had to say, you know what, I'm not well with this one. I took a call for a kid that drowned, and my only involvement in this call was I sent troopers out there. That was it. Kid's drowning, go to the house. Yeah. For whatever reason, that bothered me. And I can't tell you why it bothered me. I had to I did something, I took it upon myself, but I called over to the county and I told them that the kid didn't make it. And I said, I know there's somebody there that gave CPR instructions. I know that there's people there that are wondering what has happened. And I couldn't just let them go home wondering. as, terrible of the outcome that it was, they deserve to know. They deserve to know what happened, instead of scouring obituary pages, to see if you recognize a name or something like that. It was like, I'm not going to let you go through your entire shift wondering. I'm going to tell you that he did not make it, but everything that you did and everything that everybody else did, we got him to the hospital, and he was still breathing at the hospital. Unfortunately, he died. And it's like, I said this a very long time ago about our jobs, and that we take something very horrible and nasty and traumatic, and we package it into we put it in a nice box, and we put it all together, and we put a very pretty bow on it, and then we hand it to somebody. We hand them at that moment the worst possible thing ever. It's like, here you go. Like, I'm going to give this to you. And I really believe that these new folks are not, I don't think they understand. I don't think they understand that part of the job. And it's not the cool, glamorized stuff you see on TV. It's nothing like that at all. Like, these are legitimate people. Like, you're going to hear people die. You're going to hear people, their worst possible day ever. And you got to fix it. Like, you got to fix it. That's your job. You're the fixer. And I've also said one reason we're so good at our jobs and we're so good at fixing everybody else's problems is because we don't want to fix our own.
Now everybody feels attacked listening. They're all like, oh my God, no. But, true story, right?
I did a paper, and first responders have the highest rates of alcoholism, drug abuse, domestic violence, suicides. We participate in activities that are dangerous. I mean, how many first responders do you know that actually drive the speed limit?
Right. Well, yeah, and when we were talking to Kyle of the Elevate podcast, he talked about the ACEs score, which is the Adverse Childhood Experiences score, and how one of his guests had enlightened him to the fact that first responders, on average, have the same ACEs score, average ACEs score, as do prison inmates.
Yeah, I believe it.
So, yeah. So we're talking about people that have been traumatized, right? Because a lot of people that's how they get into it, right? They've had bad experiences, and then they're like, I want to help people. I want to help people that were like me. And so that's how they get into it. That doesn't mean they dealt with their bullshit from before, right? And then, yes, we just sort of, I think I just sent it. I just saw it on Instagram. There was a meme about just burying, like burying your feelings and your traumas and your whatever. Yeah. And we do that. And I know when we had Michael Segru on, he talked about how when he was involved in a shooting. He's a law enforcement officer and shot a suspect who ended up dying. But they were kind of whisked away from the scene and sequestered. And the dispatcher on duty had no idea for like 4 or 6 hours, had no idea even who was shot. All she heard was, shots fired, send a supervisor.
Yep.
What kind of bullshit is that?
Such bullshit.
I mean, you're gonna leave this, and you're not only are you leaving her hanging, or even if it's a he, whatever, not only are you leaving your dispatcher hanging, you're expecting them to continue working.
Yeah.
Because I think that was a one-man show. So why do workplaces treat dispatchers like that on top of it, right?
Yeah, no, I fully agree. I think it's still that, that old school thought of, there's no crying in dispatch. There's, no crying. Like you gotta deal with it.
Suck it up,
And
buttercup.
right, exactly. And this is why we have people who legitimately are struggling. And, you can think that, oh, well, they're having a problem like with their wife, husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever. And, and the thing is, families don't understand because I'll be honest with you, I love my boyfriend to death. But one, he doesn't understand what I do. I think he does peripherally understand what I do, but I don't think he really understands what I do. When I was at his house and I told him it was just a really bad day at work, I don't really feel like talking about it. And I still was kind of like in a funk. And I just looked at him. I said, yeah, there were 3 suicides yesterday. And I said it just like that. And he just kind of looked at me. He's like, what? And I said, yeah, 3 people died yesterday. Like on my shift in 8 hours, 3 people killed themselves.
Yep.
And I think kind of in a way kind of hit home a little bit. And even my dad, he's like, I don't know how you do this. He's like, you listen to so much. And I know now that I'm not the same person that I was. I'm a little hardened,
Yeah.
like, oh, that sucks. Oh, they almost died. Wow, that's terrible. And I kind of have to watch and I can't say this to other people. They're gonna think I'm like some cold, heartless bitch who doesn't care.
Mm-hmm.
But it's in reality, I think there's some people I do care, but I've learned how to start to take care of myself to where I'm not wrapped up in it.
That's good.
Yeah, like I read. I like to do cross stitch. I like to do yard work. Napping is always fun and free. I like to spend time with friends. There's things that I like to do, and I make a conscious effort to separate myself from work. And, just when it comes to like friends and family, it's like, listen, I'm not really interested in talking about my day because it was terrible. And I can't begin to describe the type of terrible that it was, but just know it was bad.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you about the idiot that called about, their neighbor's cat shitting in their yard. I'm going to tell you about that one because that one's funny.
Right.
Where the guy had to hang up on twice because he was calling about a traffic light being out. Like, bro, what do you want me to do?
Right.
Not close. Yeah. I don't have a reflective vest. I don't have one of those wands. I'm going to sit here in the air conditioning. It's, 489 degrees outside. I'm not going. I don't know what to tell you there, bud, but
Right.
I'm sent somebody. Chill out. It's fine. We got it handled. Have a good day, sir. Click.
Yeah, my my husband and I, when we used to go out before we had kids, and we used to go out to eat, and we'd be talking because he's a firefighter medic, right? We'd be talking, and then we'd realize like that the people in the booths behind us and in front of us were like just giving us the like, what the are y'all? And then we're eating and talking, and it's like they're like, and oh. Whoops, like, but it's like, and Kacey and I talked about this last night. Well, not last night, but it came out today. Last night on our recap, like this, it just becomes normal. One of our earliest guests and a friend of ours, Mark, said that, right? It's just this shit becomes normal and you
Mhm.
don't even, it's like they almost died. Well, I mean, it was almost.
Yeah, like they didn't die.
Like, right, it could have been worse, you know? So yeah,
Yeah.
it's so funny. One of the things that I think my husband and I, like, we always still get a kick out of this is like when you go to give CPR instructions to someone
Mhm.
and you know somebody's in a bed or in a car or whatever, and you're like, you know, get them flat on their back, and they're like, but I can, or no, grab them by their feet and drag them out of the bed.
Mhm.
But I might
Yeah.
hurt them.
Yeah.
No, they're dead.
Yeah.
Okay.
At this point,
We're
yes,
not
they're
doing
probably.
any more damage at this point. Okay.
Right.
It's either they get a bump on their head and they might start breathing again, or they're dead.
Is
But
that
you
kind of like
choose.
the equivalent of like turning the power back on or turning it off and back on? Yeah,
Right.
or talking them back into the room. I had to do that with the lady. I'm like, I need you to go
Right.
back in there. I need you to go. And you know, and I think like I have this list of things that like I'll never say again. And it's all come from work. Literally, it's all come from work.
Right. Oh yeah.
When you get to the part like where you got to sweep the mouth, if there's any vomit or anything like that. And I had to tell this poor lady, just breathe through it. She's making these gagging sounds. I'm thinking it's her husband. He's having some type of agonal breathing. I'm like, is that your husband? And she's like, no, that's me.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, listen, you got to breathe through it. I know this is, and I'm thinking, I will never say those words again to somebody.
And
And
then guess what? You're gonna go back to work and you're gonna get, well, I guess you won't because you're not a PSAP. But see, if you were,
we were.
you would get a baby call and you'd be telling some lady just breathe through it.
Ugh. Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of those calls where I should have been fired, but I wasn't because we had signed a direct order from our sheriff to not use mutual aid, and this was because where I worked was on the border of North Carolina and Georgia, so this lady had both a North Carolina and Georgia address,
Oh Lord.
so it was confusing. And apparently somebody got upset about something. I'm sure it was something stupid. But the
Yeah.
call was transferred from Georgia to North Carolina to me. And if they disconnected the call, we would have lost it. And she was on a cell phone. So this dispatcher had signed the same order that I did. Hey, we're not playing in each other's sandboxes anymore. We're separate.
Oh Lord.
My ambulance was a good 20 minutes away. Hers was literally right down the road. Little did I know, she had called a helicopter for me. She got ambulances going. She got the fire department going. This lady literally had like 100 people show up at her house. And she's like, they're at the door. I have to get the door. And I'm like, no, don't stop. And I'm like, just scream. Just scream. They will come to you. And unfortunately, he died. Unfortunately, he died. That was very sad. But yeah, that was one of those. Thankfully, I didn't get fired because that would have been terrible. But I had listen. I didn't call the helicopter. I didn't send the mutual aid. They did that on their own, but I didn't tell them not to. I didn't say don't send anybody. Don't do
Right.
me a solid and help me out. Wink, wink. Don't. Yeah. Sometimes I'm a rule breaker. I can't help it. I
Oh
told
yeah.
him that. I told him that in my interview. I'm like, listen, I know that y'all have SOPs and SOGs and all this other good stuff. I said, but sometimes I break rules, and I have a good reason to do so. And I hung up on a corporal once, and I got written up for it. And then my supervisor was talking to me about it, and he's like, I said, I hung up on the sheriff once too at my old job. And he's like, you have a habit of hanging up on people, don't you? And I'm like, yeah, because I was done. I was busy. I didn't have time. I can't entertain you right now. I'm done.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm the same way. I feel like better to beg for forgiveness, right? Like whatever.
100%.
I don't have time for your BS. And I was a very happy fire EMS dispatcher as well. And I used to have people come train with me and come sit with me, and they would be like, "Oh my God, I'm so afraid of making a mistake," or, "Oh my God, you requested mutual aid, but we're supposed to call the battalion chief or some shit." Look, it's 3 a.m.
Yeah.
and this person is dead. Like, I'm not gonna wake somebody up to ask them a stupid question. That's just
Yeah.
not how I roll. Like, I'm sorry, but
Yeah, but
it
that's
is
when
what it
you know you're working in a good supportive place, is that when you're not really questioned about your decisions.
is.
It's very
Right.
much you made this decision.
Right.
You can explain why you made your decision, and that's fine. But it's like there's not a lot of pushback from it. It's like, okay, cool.
Right. And you have a supervisor that backs you up, even if there is pushback from somebody, right?
Right. Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, I think unfortunately that's a touchy place for a lot of dispatchers though,
It is.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I see it like in these, on occasion there will be somebody that will post, they're having an issue with their coworkers or supervisor, they're in training, whatever. And I just think about like how much of we really we eat the young. Like we really do. I mean, like
Mhm.
it's like we're savages. And it's like if you're not, I think the issue is that we hold ourselves to such a high standard that we want everybody to be like we are. And then when we encounter somebody who's not, it's like, you know what, you can't do this. Get out. I don't have time for you anymore. I can't fix your mistakes all the time. And
Right.
I think we need to be a little bit more gentle with each other. We need to be a little bit nicer.
We should be.
Don't eat the young. Don't eat the young. Just bring more snacks. It'll be fine.
Yeah. And actually Casey and I talked about that last night as well. And I can't remember wow, who we were talking to that about too. It's like we're just crazy. I think Casey's phone died. I think that's why she dropped off. So
Oh,
apparently she had it plugged in, but it wasn't charging. So she might come back. If she doesn't, she doesn't. It's fine. We can finish up, and I think we probably already answered this one, but what qualities do you think are important for someone getting into the career?
thick skin.
Yeah, since we eat our young, exactly.
Um, Compassion. Um, like you and I, we've taken a million calls, and I know there are times when I see myself getting short with people, and
Mhm.
I have to understand. Whoa, wait a minute. This is the worst part of their life today, and they've gotten me, and I do not need to be an asshole to them over the phone
Right.
because I have heard the same tale of woe 400 other times today, and I think a quality would be is one, be humble, own your mistakes, realize that you're not perfect, you're going to mess up, and if you're not messing up, then you're doing something wrong. Because I tell these guys, listen, I fuck up every day. If I don't, I can't learn.
Right.
And being humble enough to learn and to talk to somebody about, hey, how can I fix this, or what would you have done in this situation? Just a fresh set of eyes, ears to it. And really, at the end of the day, we really do need to be kinder to each other, 100%. And we all need to realize that everybody has had a first day and everybody has had those first calls. And I think if we were a little bit nicer to each other, and that there was more mental health training. Oh my God, more mental health training. It's my soapbox, mental health training. I'll die on that hill.
Yes.
I think that, we could get some really good call takers and dispatchers, but we got to quit running them through the mill. We got to get out of this. It's a warm body.
Yes.
It's
Mm-hmm.
we got to get out of that. People's lives depend on us.
Right. And in what ways do you think that the role of a 911 dispatcher will evolve in the future? And what changes would you like to see? Obviously, more mental health training.
Yes, more mental health training. I really do think that we need to. I really do think that we need to be paid accordingly. I know that I think in the state of PA, I'm considered like clerical.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a clerk.
Right.
I'm not
That's
a clerk.
a huge thing.
Yeah, like recognize us for who we are,
Yeah.
pay us accordingly, respect us. I think that's a really big thing. Like, it bothers me on the news. You're like, oh, the police did this and this and this, and it's like, yo, jackass, how do you think they got there? Who do you think told them? I mean, I can tell you right now, they did not get that call on their personal cell phone.
Right.
They didn't get flagged down because I think we just need more recognition. And I think if we got more recognition, we wouldn't, as a whole, I think we would be a little less bitter about the whole thing. And if people really understood what we did and not just answer the phones and watch TV or read a book or whatever, that we're like actually doing real work, we're actually doing important things, and we don't give ourselves enough credit for it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest problems, right? Is we don't give ourselves credit for it enough. And yes, the media does not help with their portrayals and their, talking about how things are done. It drives me crazy to listen to shows, podcasts where they're talking about an incident and like maybe how the 911 system failed somebody.
Right.
Well, okay. First of all, the system is one of my trigger words because there's no fucking system. All right. We all do it different. There's like 19,000 law enforcement agencies, and I think like 2,800 PSAPs in the United States. Okay. There's no system. Everybody does it different. And especially if you're going state to state, or I mean, if you're in a small region, there's some familiarity, some things that may be similar, but state to state or across the state, we all do it different. We're not trying to fail people, but we can only work with the resources that we have.
Exactly.
Our mapping system only shows me my county.
Right.
Doesn't even show me the neighboring city or the neighboring counties. If I want to look at those, I got to Google it. Just like you. Okay. So we're not trying to fail anybody. Like, we're trying to help, but we have limited resources.
Yeah. And we're human.
And we're human. Right.
Yeah, we're human. And we can't, you take the terrible call, and then the guy that calls, next because his neighbor said something terrible to him or he got flipped off, he doesn't care. He doesn't care what kind of call I had before. He doesn't care what kind of day I'm having. He doesn't care what's going on in my personal life. He's just pissed off and he wants me to do something about it. And well, honestly, I'm not sure what I'm going to do about it, but sometimes, and I have this saying, it sucks to suck, but I'm like, dude, you got flipped off. I don't know what to tell you. What did you do to get flipped off? Let's answer that question first.
Now you're going to open a whole can of worms right there. Woo!
Let's back this one up a little bit. But yeah, people they see us as just machines,
Now, speaking of a call like that, do your troopers take like legal advice phone calls? No.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's very much, consultant attorney. A lot of
If it
people are
was,
like, oh,
if we have somebody that's crazy like that, I would be like, oh, I can let you talk to a deputy. I will have one call you.
I hate it. I hate it when people say, well, what would you do?
Right.
And obviously I can't tell them, I can't tell them what to do. They have to make that decision. But if somebody is being decent on the phone and they're not being like a complete asshole to me,
Mm-hmm.
I'll be like, you know what? I can't tell you what to do, but if I was in this situation, these are the steps that I would take. And they're like, you know what? That's a really good plan. And I'm like, no, I thought of it. Like this
Right.
came to me, and I'm also removed from the situation. And so I always first say, I can't tell you what to do, but if it was me in that situation, I would do X, Y, and Z. Because then I've taken away the liability because I've said, I'm not telling you what to do. I've vocalized that. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm going to tell you what I would do if you care to listen. And that's another thing. I don't think people really understand how we can be sued for absolutely everything that we do.
Mm-hmm.
We breathe wrong on the phone, that we can be sued for it, and it's stupid. But
Mm-hmm.
I try to hammer this home to people. It's like, stop giving ETA, stop telling them when we'll be there.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And I explained to them, and I'm like, now you know why I'm looking for the first thing I can get into my right hand and throw at you, because you can't do that. Like, what are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
You said 5 minutes. Okay, well, guess what? Now they're going to sue you because they didn't show up in 5 minutes. Guess what? That's on you. I'm going to let you explain that one. I'm not going to. And I'm not going down. I'll go down for a few things, but that's definitely not one of them. And I actually had that conversation with a coworker. Like, stop it. Like, stop it. And, going over, past cases where dispatchers have been sued, and, where their agency didn't stand behind them and where they lost everything. And I'm like, I don't have a whole lot, but I don't want to give it to somebody.
Right. And
Like,
I've had a complaint. I didn't get sued, but I had a complaint one time from someone who thought that as I was hanging up the phone, I went to say something to my partner because she had been out smoking, and it was only two of us in this particular center. And she had been out smoking, and I could not get her back in the room.
mm-hmm.
And my phone's blowing up. And so as I'm hanging up the phone, I was like, well, to say something to her. And that's what you heard on the end of the call. It was a minor car accident. But it was a young girl, and she was hysterical. She called her mother and told her mother that I laughed at her, and her mother called in to complain. And I had to sit in there and listen to this with our director, with at the end. I'm like, how you can't even say that I clearly did not laugh at her at any time. And that was me going to speak to Ding Dong, who had been on a smoke break and not paying attention to me paging her. So yeah, I mean, people are petty. So don't give them that information.
Yeah, and I've even let people kind of affect me, like how they've spoken to me.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I have told my supervisor, listen, I hung up on him. I'm like, I don't get paid enough to listen to that. I said, I'm not going to be. Don't call and ask me for help, then proceed to cuss me out.
Amen. Amen.
Like don't. I'm gonna, and I always politely say, listen, I'm gonna disconnect the call. Have a good day, and I hang up the phone. So I've clearly stated I'm done, and I've done it politely. But I'm like, I'm not. I said they're probably going to call and complain, but I'm not paid enough to listen to this. You're calling me and asking me for help. Don't call me and cuss me out, because guaranteed that's not going to get anybody out there any quicker. You
No.
screaming at me, wanting me to guess what exit you're at. Well, okay, cool. Like, I don't know. My crystal ball is broke.
Right.
Like, I want to say, I say that to the guys sometimes. Like, listen, my crystal ball has been broken for like 15 years. I can't find anybody to fix it. So you got to tell me.
Right.
You got to tell me what's going on here, because I don't know. I'm not, I'm not psychic as much as
Yep.
people like me to believe that I am. If I was psychic, I would have like the winning lottery numbers.
Right. If we were psychic, we would not be dispatchers. Hello.
No, I mean, I can predict what they're going to do.
Right.
I can predict that, but I just worked with them for so long, so I kind of know what they're going to do next.
Right.
And so I'm not psychic. Dude, I know how you operate. I know who milks a call. I know who doesn't. I've even sent the ones that milk calls, I've sent them pictures of cows. And then they've asked me why. And I said, because you're milking a call.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, you can hear the Mr. Softy truck coming through.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I thought he abandoned us this summer. I'm sorry, don't put that in there.
He's probably gets too damn hot.
Probably.
The ice cream probably won't even stay cold, right? It's like, oh my gosh.
Some ice cream. I'm good. Anyway, that was way off topic. But yeah, I think just in general, I just think we need to be a little bit more kinder to ourselves. I think in training, there needs to be more realistic training,
Mm-hmm.
not the canned calls, not the someone's going to go sit in another room and pretend. Like it needs to be real life.
It seems like to me, if I'm talking to people, it's one like there's either the canned training and then you're thrown onto the floor and expected to be performing, or like our agency did it, where they just stick you on the floor and figure it out. And if you're busy, if you don't have, like if your CTO is actively having to work and answer calls and dispatch and whatever, so there's again, nobody does it the same, and nobody's, I don't think either way is right. I think a little bit of both is helpful. We do, and I think most states do, you have some sort of academy that you have to go through, or communications basic course, but some people are going through it before they've even sat on the floor.
Yep.
And some people are going through it 18 months in.
Yeah.
They're already dispatching, right? And taking 911 calls. So again, that's a big discrepancy too. And I think that could change a little bit with technology evolving. Like that's one of the places that the job might evolve.
Yeah.
But at the same time, everybody's different, right? There's going to be places, I mean, still there's places that work with one dispatcher and have their 1980s, 70s technology, and places that, look like something out of a spaceship. So it varies so much that I think the general public just doesn't understand that.
I also think that you should train on the shift you're going to go to.
Yeah, for sure. Because everybody does it different.
Yeah.
Right. Even on the shifts. Yeah.
I have 2 new people on my shift, like 7 months. They trained on day shift. Day shift is completely different than 3 to 11. And then they get to 3 to 11 and it's like, whoa, what's all this? And I'm like, yo, it's a normal day.
Right.
Like, I don't know why you're all upset. Like, this wasn't busy.
Right.
This is normal.
Normal. Yeah.
Right. And it's like, oh, I can't handle this. And then a lot of them, they leave. And I'm not the type to coddle. I don't coddle people. And it's like, this is it. This is your job. I don't know what else to tell you. You've had the same training I have. I'm at a loss. But it's very much like I feel as though people are very ill prepared to go to a shift that they're assigned to. Because it's not what they were, their first whatever. They had, admin calls and, stuff like that. And then they get to my shift and, fighting and stealing and crashes and more fighting. And Traffic
Right.
lights and, the panhandler and I have a question. This is a non-emergency. That's my favorite. This is a non-emergency call.
Mm-hmm.
What's your non-emergency number? All of our numbers are emergency numbers. What's your question?
Right.
Can I? Yeah.
That was always my favorite, 911, what's the address of your emergency? It's not an emergency, but.
Yeah.
Okay. Then why are you on my phone?
Yeah, exactly. And then you get the person that calls the non-emergency line. Hi, yeah, I've just been stabbed 20 times.
Right. Or, my dad just had a heart attack and he's dead on the floor.
Hey, do you think you could send, if you're not busy, could you send somebody?
Right. I don't want to bother you.
Right.
Okay.
Right. You have called 10 digits. You have dialed 10 digits to get to me.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've been stabbed. I've
Right.
been shot. Could you send somebody? I mean, if you're not busy. I mean, if you're busy, we can wait.
Right. Meanwhile, the person who I had somebody, this was who their neighbor was blowing their driveway. Like they had mowed and then they were blowing, and the cuttings and some leaves were going into their driveway.
Oh, dear.
Called 911 for that shit.
I've taken those calls.
Wanted somebody right for each game now, right? And it's like, I can't with you people. I just cannot, right?
Trash against my fence. I got that one. My neighbor put trash against my fence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They mowed part of my grass.
We had several years ago, actually, and one of our friends who was also a dispatcher at the time, it was somebody she knew, actually was shot over a landscaping yard dispute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. Like people are. There's Kacey.
Here I am.
People, just, and I think you're right. Like with people training on the shift they're going to be on, because we worked 12s, so we had day and night. At night, yeah, you might have a span after 1 where you're not really busy, but we did NCIC at night. Like we did warrants and all of that, which they didn't do during the day. So if you trained during the day when a warrants clerk was there and then you came to night shift,
yeah,
and they would be like, well, I don't know how to do that. Well, I guess you better learn, because
if there's a little asterisk by it, it means that it's mandatory, and
right.
It's projected. It'll tell you what it needs, and good luck in figuring that one out.
Right, and it's got to be entered in the next 48 hours, and it's Friday, so
or it's not clear, what the original charge was, and you can't find it to fit into the the codes, and it's 2:00 in the morning, and it's like, well, I guess I'm going to wake somebody up and ask them, like, hey, this is what I got to choose from. What do you suggest here? This is on you. I just need to know how to do this. And yeah, 100%. And I have run into that, and I make people do it. Like, listen, no, I said, I can do it, but I'm doing you a disservice.
Right.
I know how to do it. I don't need anybody to show me, but you've got to figure this out. You get stuck, let me know. We'll work through it. But again, like you said, everybody trains differently. Everybody trains. Everybody has their own method. I don't want to train. I have made it very clear. I don't want to train because I don't want the headache. For my mental health.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Yeah, I'm not interested in that. I have enough responsibility. I'm not really interested in taking on any more. That's fine.
And most of the training officers are abused, right? It's like you get one after the other, and nobody wants to do that. It's too much.
And then when you say that you don't want to do it anymore, then you get pushed back.
Oh God. Yeah, then it's
Yep.
You're not a team player, you're not this, you're not that. And it's like, listen, I want to say like it's not that deep, but I mean it is that deep. But it's like
Right? It's not, because it's all about me, and I'm not down to do it all the time,
yeah,
right?
like if
I
you
shouldn't have to.
yeah if you it's almost like people forget to value the employees that they have,
Right.
and
Oh
it's
yeah.
like, okay, well, I get it, you like be nice to the new people, but like what about us?
Yeah.
Like what? Wait a minute, hold on. Let me raise my hand here for a second. Let me recount all of the, X, Y, and Z that I have been here for. And
Right.
then you're going to be this way to me?
Mhm.
Okay, like that tracks. What? And then they can't understand why people quit and why they're bitter and why they're, like, I'm not interested in doing this, that, or the other. And that's how I felt when I was in Atlanta. It was like, you know what, y'all don't care. So I'm just going to,
Peace out.
Right.
I'm not going to care that,
Mhm.
like I got to take care of me. That's why I left. I had to take care of me. I had to make that decision. Like I can't do this anymore. And that was like one of the hardest things that I ever had to like tell myself, like I can't do this anymore. And I was very hesitant even to get, as I took a little break, but getting back into it, I was like, do I still have this in me? And I do. And I do. But, fortunately, I've had the opportunity to go to school, further my education, and, I'm on the path of doing something that I've always wanted to do. So I feel like I'm representing the forgotten dispatchers.
Good for you.
I'm representing. It's going to be my other soapbox.
That's cool. Yeah.
That is.
Take care of us.
Very good.
Yeah, I mean, we have to take care of each other. That's just all there is to it. We have to take care of each other. There's just no way around it. And I think in some places we've really stopped doing that. We've really stopped taking care of each other. And
Yeah.
it's just very much just keep it moving. Keep it moving. And I feel for those people. I'm fortunate where I work, we do take care of each other. And that's important to me.
It is. That's huge. That's why with this podcast that Anna and I started it, we've met some pretty awesome people so far. I mean, I know we're still new at it and stuff, but just to hear that, man, we really are all the same. We have the same feelings. We go through the same shit, no
Mm-hmm.
matter where we are, and all have like pretty much the same goal. Is we do like to help people, but we want to be there for each other too. And this
Yeah.
podcast is allowing us to do that as well.
Yeah, at work, I always tell these guys, like, listen, you need to talk. We can. I said it's like Fight Club. You don't talk about Fight Club. And
Right.
Yeah.
I'm here to listen. Like I'm not going to listen as your coworker. I'm going to listen to you as your friend.
Right.
And I'm concerned about you as a friend because I know what you just went through was terrible,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to make sure that you're okay. I don't care about work. I want to make sure you're okay because if
Mhm.
you're not okay, then I want to try to help if I can. And I think with a lot of these guys, they just know that I'm there. And it's like I got you. And I tell these guys that all the time. Listen, I got you. I'm here. I got you. Don't worry about it. I got you.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Jess. This has been awesome.
Yes, it's been fun.
It has been nice. Yes.
So now I can add podcasts to my list of things.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And definitely anytime you want to talk about mental health stuff, whatever, let us
Yeah.
know because we're all about that too.
I've had the opportunity to talk to new call takers for the county, and I do a thing of mental health wellness, and I throw some stats at them, and I give them real talk. Like this is not like the TV shows. I'll tell you that right now. And I tell them that all the time. It's dumpster fire. Don't watch it. And, I also tell them, like, listen, if you don't think you can do this, get out now.
Yeah.
Leave now before you hurt somebody.
Or
And,
yourself.
yeah, hurt somebody, hurt yourself. Yeah. And, yeah, so, I've been able to do that through the SISM team, and I was able to talk to first responders during EMS week about mental health wellness. And, I related a lot of story, of my personal experiences, and they can't understand how you feel, why you're feeling it, but, it's not, we make it worse in our head than what it is. And that's the problem, is that we live inside of our head.
Right.
And we come up with these narratives that aren't the best, and we beat ourselves up for it. And
We do.
yeah, and it's just this vicious cycle that we go into. And I think that's one reason there's a lot of burnout. And that's why, there's so many people that are struggling, and people don't want to talk about it, because if you talk about it, then you're not fit for duty.
Right. Yep.
And that is so untrue.
That is definitely untrue.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we've talked about that several times, how people, once they've worked through something, are way better at, handling things in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And I always, to me, that parallels with working with horses. And because if you teach a horse how to do something difficult, they'll remember. And then when the shit hits the fan, you can rely on them, to be there with you and go through the bullshit. But if you try to keep your horse's life so perfect and don't teach them any, oh my God, don't let an umbrella open, or don't do this, or don't, coddle them, right? When you're out doing something and the shit does hit the fan, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
And same thing with humans. If we're not prepared, if we don't know how to work through something, we don't know how to talk about it, we don't know how to work our bodies through it.
Yep.
We're going to create a shitstorm instead of a healthy coping mechanism and being able to go on and do bigger and better things. We can have a lot more post-traumatic growth than post-traumatic stress if things are handled the right way.
Yeah, and that, it comes down to self-care. I made a decision. Wednesday was my Friday. You know what? I want to take a day. I had the time. I took the day.
Yep, good for you. That's awesome.
And then I had big plans for today to mow the yard and do all this stuff. It didn't happen.
Nope.
Didn't happen. I was on that couch right behind me all day.
Right. That's okay too.
Yeah. But tomorrow, I promise, I'll do my yard work tomorrow. I promise.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
I swear.
We won't make you feel guilty if you don't, so it's fine.
Definitely not.
Yeah, the borough might have an issue with me not doing it. So. I personally don't care, but
right.
But I think doing that, it gives me a little sense of pride. It's like, hey, I've done something productive.
Right. Exactly.
I've done something good. I feel better about myself. My neighbors can stop looking at my overgrown grass and gardens that need to be weeded and whatever. And yeah, it's just definitely finding time for ourselves and separating the work from personal. That's the biggest thing. Listen, this place is going to function without you.
It
Function before you got here. It's going to function after you leave. I promise. Yep. I don't know of any dispatch center that has shut down because somebody quit or got fired.
No.
I haven't seen it yet. There might be a first. I don't know.
If you're out there, let us know, because
yeah, 100%. I want to hear this story. I'm invested in this one. I want to know. I gotta know now. But no, it's been a pleasure doing this. This is
Thank
exciting.
you very much for being
on. And I would love to come back one day and talk about mental health issues and all that good stuff, because that's kind of
Cool.
that's really my passion is that, and that's why I went to school. And I can tell you it was very tough being the only one in a graduate program who was not a social worker.
Interesting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everybody was, and I wasn't. So I literally had to teach myself all of this.
Well,
So
now you
Wow.
know how this works. When you're ready, you just let us know.
yeah, I will. Thank you again, ladies. I hope y'all have a good night.
You too.
Thank
Thank
you.
you
You
so
too.
much.
And
All
we'll
right.
definitely have to do this again.
Yep, just let us know.
I will, absolutely. Thank you,
All
guys.
right. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Thank you.
Take
Bye.
care.
Till next time, y'all. Bye.
All right. Bye.